it's just a board. I mean, my experience is only really through my I mean, I've been on a few boards, but my sister has developed a few boards, so I've just learned some stuff from her. And you know, having people from different professions and outlooks just really add value to the group. And they wouldn't, I guess, I mean, we're gonna have to figure out, well, do you have to be a member to be on the board? You know, there's just a lot of stuff that needs to be considered in this. And I'm not articulating very well about how the board is in some aspects separate from the core HMOTA group, even though like the majority of people on the board should be, you know, have definite interest and value in the group, but having a couple of members on the board that are outside the network is pretty advantageous. And I'll try to comprise my thoughts a little bit more.
I kind of get what you mean as far as the diversity and the like skill set and relationships that different people with different backgrounds can bring to boards and such.
Right.
But I think we have to kind of think of the big picture of, is it like the role of HMOTA and like how we advocate and all of that. I mean, I definitely think they can perhaps be members, like affiliates or something, but I mean, it's kind of started as like an OT group, and I think that representation is important in driving like the goals and the mission. But I guess we need to decide what is the intent of HMOTA. We're kind of gone beyond sharing best practices, and it's kind of moving into this new landscape. So,
well, I think having said what you just said, I think it would be very beneficial. And I think it's possible to have a managing group that has experts in other areas that we would need to refer to. And those are the people we could go to, but they don't, from what I understand, they don't have to be actively involved. They could be board members that we just go to for their area of expertise.
Right.
Those sound more like advisors or ad hoc to me. Like when I think of the boards I've been involved, have always been working boards, so they didn't just have advisory roles. There's nothing saying we couldn't have advisors, but the board was like the deciding factors, like with contracts and all of that, and they would review. They'd get like reports from the subcommittees and kind of make decisions for the whole kind of thing. That's what a managing board that I've been involved in kind of been doing.
Right.
Well, and my thought too with
does anyone else
it doesn't have to be a managing board at all. It could be an advisory board.
My only thought with bringing in those people is that way we bring their resources into HMOTA too, because then they have sort of a stake in HMOTA, you know, since their name maybe is, you know, is associated with it. And, you know, just bringing other experts in was my thought. But we can do whatever you guys want. We're all putting it together now.
Any other thoughts as far as whether we should focus on a managing board or advisory board? We honestly could do both, but I feel like initially, just because there's so much that needs to be done, that the managing route is probably the most advantageous.
Right, I agree. I think the managing, and then we could have a managing board, and then we can have advisors, and down the road after growth, that can always be restructured. But I definitely think managing board to start is sufficient.
Agreed.
Yeah.
We have 5 yeses on that?
I think so.
Sure.
Yes.
I think we do.
Yay, we got one thing decided. So, I sent everyone a little bit, an email that had some information. My sister gave me this website called boardsource.org. And because I didn't really, I wanted something in writing, and my sister's too busy to kind of facilitate ideas and thoughts our way. So she thought this would be a good resource for us all. So I don't know if anyone else has any other good websites or resources that we can kind of look at and maybe divide up an area that each person can kind of look into as far as what is kind of standard and what some other organizations, other nonprofit organizations have done for our next meeting. Or
I guess that's my one question I wanted to ask you guys. Is HMOTA set up as a nonprofit, or is it set up as a for-profit? And then Karen, you might be the best person to answer, since we are part of a contract now.
It's set up as a profit. It's set up under, I just put it, the DBA under an S Corp, simply because one more structure to learn was just too much, plus the accounting that goes along with it. Sure. And that could change.
And I think
do something with it.
Well, I think even if it's a for-profit, I think that there's ways to do a board with a for-profit too. I mean, that I don't know that is as much, but I think it was Beth. I can't see names when people are talking, so I think it was Bethany. You were saying about that boardsource.org. That's where I found a lot of information that I was just trying to pull up and research. And Karen, I think I sent you something earlier that I didn't have everybody's email to send it to when I found it. I don't know if you can forward it, or if people want to give me their email, I can forward what I sent her, just about membership in general. It really wasn't necessarily about boards, but it was about defining membership and what that looks like for your organization.
I thought that was helpful. You know, what do you guys think about posting this stuff on the website, just so people can kind of keep track of it, or, you know, that way, or do you want to just communicate via email?
I think I don't know what everybody else's opinion is. I think initially it might be good to kind of vet through some stuff before it gets posted out on the website. That was just my thought. But
okay. I agree with you, Carrie.
I agree.
Yeah, okay. I agree. Yeah, I agree too.
All right.
Because I think it's going to become hard to come up with an agreement. That you're never going to please everybody. That's kind of what my thought is.
You can get too many cooks in the kitchen too, and then things won't get done. Just talk about it a lot.
So I'll make sure that there's a group email. I know that there's some people in the group email. I don't know if everybody's in it.
Okay.
So I'll resend out to everybody, and I assume that's Carrie, Raphael, Bethany, and who else is on the line? 'Cause there's 5 of us, I think, right? Lynn Stoner?
Yeah.
Okay, just want to make sure. Okay. So we're gonna do we're gonna communicate via email. We're gonna set up a managing board, right?
Yes. And I had that boardsource.org is a good resource for us to kind of look at.
Okay. And I can send some resources too. I don't, like I said, have access to them right this moment, but I can send them to the group.
So this is Lynn. So that board source though that my sister gave me, it's for nonprofit, just so you all are aware. It still will probably have some helpful ideas, but just be aware of that when we're looking at things.
Sure.
Yeah, I think all the resources to help us figure out what we want it to look like will help. So that's great.
Yeah, it looks like there's a lot here.
Anyone have any ideas of how we can kind of divide up some areas of homework for us to research individually, or should we all just look at board source and then whoever else has another resource for us, email it to us, and then we can all look at that as well and kind of compare and compile thoughts? I don't know.
I like the idea of just
reviewing. A good idea of homework.
Yeah, reviewing resources and then reconvening to talk about what we think we found.
Okay, because I'm not sure I'm versed enough to even know like how to divide it up subcategorically. I mean, I told you I'm a little, this is a new territory for me.
What about figuring out what the
goal I feel like what's that?
I was thinking, why don't we figure out too what the goals are, because that'll make it easier to decide what fits within what we're trying to do with the board. And maybe I missed it. Maybe I wasn't here when you guys were talking about what the goals of the board were.
I don't know that we got that specific, Karen. We just kind of, one of the articles I read was there's a difference between a managing board and an advisory board. And I think we kind of fine tuned it down to that right now we probably need a managing board to set up like procedures and how, the structure of the organization.
Okay.
One of the things we could look at is see how other people go about forming their board and how many members there are, if they need certain credentials and like the term of the board members, that kind of stuff maybe.
Right.
This is Bethany. I kind of agree with Karen. I think we need to determine, like, we're all on the same page of what we want the board's role to be. Like, it can be informal or it can be like really involved in details. So I guess deciding what the goals will be first, and then we can kind of delineate other roles and membership structure and all of that.
I definitely think membership structure needs to be like one of the, defining the membership for HMOTA needs to be one of the goals of the board, if everyone's okay with it.
Right.
Because I feel like that needs to be done really fairly soon, I would think.
Yeah, absolutely.
And maybe even, I don't know about like if the board needs to have something to do with defining and managing subcommittees, and then subcommittee heads report to the board or something like that. I don't know.
So my recommendation, if we want to do that, is to create like bylaws, and that lays out all of that.
Okay.
That would be my recommendation. So I think all of that is important in the structure, and then it's a fluid document that we can all see, and then we can share that with the rest of HMOTA too, so they understand like what that structure means.
Okay.
So should we have like to-do options, like somebody looks into the formation, somebody looks into, included with the formation would be like the positions, and then maybe two of us work on the goals, like split up, different tasks, maybe work two together. Because I think all those things go hand in hand. And I think if we could get more done, splitting up some of this stuff, but to get the ball rolling. So maybe 3 people on the formation and the bylaws and how, the positions, and then 2 people on goals, and obviously share with each other, but 2 people on really structuring the goals and maybe the priority of goals.
It's a good idea.
As we,
that sounds good.
Because I honestly think if we wait to do how to structure it and then look at goals another week, I'd rather just kind of tackle as much as possible in those 2 areas right off the bat and see if we have enough to work with.
Okay.
I think if we can nail down the goals, I think then we could break out like the different definitions and bylaws, and we could break it out by what segment, if that makes sense. Because the bylaws kind of are driven by the goals too. So you don't want to say there's a committee or something that's not relevant to the mission or the goal of that. Does that make sense? Maybe I'm not explaining that well. We could probably hash out goals like now.
Yeah, that's.
And then break out, like we talked about, membership structure and people like maybe even finding toolkits online for what different membership structures look like. And I don't remember, there were a few other things that people threw up right off the bat of things we need to prioritize, and then take those items and break out into our little group and reconvene.
I almost feel too, I don't know how clear our mission is too, which sounds sort of silly to bring that up right now. But, mission.
Well, I
can tell you,
membership.
Yeah, mission statements are mission statement and goals. Organizations sometimes take a lot of time just figuring that out, just to be in agreement. So maybe our first step is to come up with a set of goals and what the mission means to you for HMOTA, and then we can kind of, mesh it together and come up with a consensus, and that be our first step. So I guess my other question too is how frequently is this group going to meet? I think initially it's going to need to be, more than once a month probably.
Yeah.
I'm thinking once a week so we can get this moving.
Me too. So the goals of HMOTA that were set originally were to promote occupational therapists as leaders in the field of home modifications and to develop a lucrative business model for home modification businesses. And I really want to stick to those 2 goals, and we can always add another one if you'd like, but how do you guys feel about that?
That sounds like our mission, not our goal.
Oh, yeah.
I'm fine with that.
Okay, good. That was just kind of like the goals that I had in mind. So I have to get out of the car again and pick up the food for this party. So I'm just going to mute myself.
Okay.
Somebody taking notes? I totally couldn't write that down, what Karen said.
Yes, I'm taking notes, but no, I did not write down what she said. But I think I have seen the HMOTA, the words that she just said. I think I've seen it maybe on the HMOTA website, and I can get that.
Yeah, I believe it is.
I'm recording.
I will be happy. I can't. Oh, okay. I was to say I don't care to send out an email to everybody kind of summarizing what we were talking about, or like Karen said, she's recording it, so that might be just as easy. I don't know.
Yeah, I was trying to take good notes, but they've become sort of convoluted, so I don't know but I could send out an email.
But I do think we need to come up with some kind of what we want. If we're going to start meeting once a week, I think we need to find what we want to do between now and next week, and maybe that's how we need to tackle this elephant.
Okay. So
I agree.
that's good. So we'll meet next Friday and figure out what we're going to meet about based on our action items.
Well, do we want to, what did we say? Come up with maybe add some additional goals for HMOTA, goals for the board, and then mission statement ideas. I mean, I guess we all could come up with those 3 things and kind of email each other back and forth, and then Friday we could kind of compile them and vote or whatever to, I don't know, get something.
Raphael, you were saying something about dividing up the workload, and I guess I got lost onto what 2 things we needed to be searching out. So
so what I was thinking is, as far as like, let me see if I can move because these birds are going to get loud. Sorry. So what I was thinking of is I thought of that just to be able to get more done on the front end. But I like the idea as far as coming up with goals and stuff. But I do think we need to also keep in mind the other things we need to do as far as how to even go about this. So, and I understand the goals, but I think goals are going to be pretty similar than they would be on any board.
Right.
So we're going to be specific to HMOTA, but, also think of the roles on the board in conjunction with the goals. So like if marketing is something, then, we need to make sure that we have either an advisor or a board member. So it's so connected that, I think maybe doing like an idea dump, like we all have something to do, but also keep in mind what's to come in the next few conversations and just kind of, what I'd like to call a brain dump and just have it readily available.
Right.
I think with strategic planning, I think the role of the board is to have long-term and short-term goals. So I think differentiating the goals for the board and the goals of HMOTA, and then making the goals SMART so that they're, time-oriented, so then we can track when we've achieved them, is important too. So I think first step is just getting the fundamentals of, are we all on the same page of where we want HMOTA to go, as far as what we're saying our mission is to the public and to the members, what the goals are, like we want to accomplish, like putting in policies and procedures, or however the structure is going to look, and how OTs and non-OTs are going to interact, and if there's going to be subgroups and what those subgroups will look like, having that foundation, and then kind of doing work. Because otherwise, I think we'll get busy working on one side and we'll forget the left side. You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
I think this still needs some structure, and I think we can accomplish that relatively quickly, but I think that's like the first step.
Well, I'll be happy to, this is Carrie, I'll be happy to kind of lay out some thoughts on membership structure. And that might encompass like how OTs, non-OTs are involved. Maybe there's different levels of membership depending on, what you're seeking out of this organization. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
sure.
Okay, so
and
our homework, I
would like to help figure out the membership levels too, because I've been thinking about it a lot for the past few months. So I don't know who's working on it, but I'd like to work with you on it.
It's Carrie.
Carrie, if you don't mind, Carrie, I'd love to work on it with you.
Nope. That's fine.
Perfect.
I think understanding how the membership and what the purpose of HMOTA is to the group would help us understand how we need to set up a board. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
And I think it would make it easier to go talk to prospective board members. Like if we more clearly defined what HMOTA's purpose is, it makes it easier to recruit somebody to be a board member.
Right.
That's true. Okay, so action items for next week, though, would be mission statement, goals for the board, goals for HMOTA, and membership structure. That sounded like what Carrie and Karen are going to work on.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay.
Does anybody want to take a lead on the mission statement? And anybody want to take a lead on goals for I mean, not that we all can't have input.
Well, if Carrie and Karen are focusing on membership, what about the three of us focus on the mission statement and those set of goals?
Okay.
Well, I think whoever's doing the membership should probably do the membership goals, because that's going to help you.
Yeah, I don't think we should split off yet. That's just my opinion. Okay. I think everybody should come with plans with what they think the mission statement goals should look like in the membership structure, and then once we get that ironed out, I think there's still a lot of I don't.
Oh, that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay. All right, when are we meeting again?
Same time next Friday? Or 6?
I think
I won't be available. I'm going to a home show actually next weekend. So I won't be available like Friday, Saturday, like I'm leaving early that day. So
yeah, and I'm in a training out of town on Friday.
Yeah, I wonder, I think finding a time that works well for all 5 of us is going to be impossible. This time actually is not in general convenient for me, but I was able to make it work today.
I agree. I don't know if it makes more sense to. What about if we meet on off Mondays on HMOTA days? Just means we're meeting every Monday.
Well, I have a meeting that I'm involved in some other stuff, so on Monday evenings I wouldn't be available. But maybe we just after each meeting we just set a date for the following week or whatever, however frequently we need to talk again.
Okay.
So for next week, though, what's everybody's schedule like?
So Raphael, you aren't able to do
next Friday.
This Monday would be too soon probably, but if we did the following Monday, like 30 minutes before the HMOTA meeting, you wouldn't be available?
Oh no, I just don't have the Monday, yes, that Monday, the March 5th, I'm not back in town. I'm not sure, it just depends on traffic and everything. Maybe if it's a little later than this, possibly, because then it gives me a little cushion to get home and get myself together. That would be, what is that, Monday, March 5th, 4th, 5th?
5th.
Yeah.
It's March
5th. So I don't know. If it works for everybody else, I'll make it work. Or if it could be just a tad bit later than today, if that works, I don't know.
Karen, I don't know if you're online or not. Is that, or you all might know, is that a HMOTA meeting day?
Oops. What date?
I'm not sure. I don't have it down.
March the 5th.
Is that the first Monday in March? Because it's the first and third Mondays.
It is the first Monday in March, yes.
So yeah, that would be a HMOTA day. But we could do it. I mean, we could
So what
do
about like
it early if you want,
Wednesday,
or Wednesday.
like the 7th?
If we could do it later, if we could do it later, I don't know how that works. Like the same time we usually meet for HMOTA, 8 Eastern Standard Time. I don't know if that works on March the 7th for people.
I'm not available.
Okay.
But I mean, I don't mind. I can just always email kind of in a nutshell or all my information, and then you guys can just discuss it, even though I can't be there.
I mean, ideally, at least for the next meeting, since we're going to come back with ideas for goals and mission and all of that, I think we should try to find like a sliver of time that we can all meet.
What about next week outside of Monday or Friday? Is there any availability for anybody?
Like you're talking about the week of February 26th?
Right.
Okay.
Monday or Friday, because I think somebody had Monday night, right? Somebody has a commitment Monday night.
Yeah, I do.
And then there's 2 Friday, but is there any availability for anybody Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, or Wednesday, Thursday?
What about Wednesday? I cannot do Thursday or Tuesday.
I'm okay
the 28th.
I can do Wednesday. I can do the 28th if it's like the HMOTA time, like 8 Eastern.
8. How does that work for everybody else?
That works for me.
Yeah, it works for me too.
So we got.
Well, so are you saying 8 Eastern?
Yes.
Yeah, that night I'm not available till 9 Central, so that would be 10 Eastern.
Ooh.
I've got things almost every evening, so it's going to be really hard. Like tonight, I'm on my way to softball practice. So
for next week, I think it would be good too if somebody is missing it, because it might be really hard to connect everybody. But like the slides that are showing up here, if we could have everybody submit their ideas, and if you can't make it, or push it to another week. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
We could almost.
Well, someone mentioned the 5th, but just going to a later time. So can we just meet after the HMOTA meeting instead of before?
That works for me.
I mean, I could do that.
What would that?
Sure.
What time are we normally over?
Be like 9:30, 10. Yeah.
Yeah. I just don't know. I mean, that's gonna be. I'm on Eastern time, so if we just make sure it's not too lengthy, make sure that we stay on topic and get through what we need to get through at that time of the night for me. I don't know, is anybody else Eastern time that would be, that's.
I am in Kentucky. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, I mean, we could, if anything, I'll just excuse myself, but let's go ahead and give it a try just to be able to at least get a meeting scheduled.
So we're looking at the March 5th after the HMOTA meeting, right?
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds good.
Maybe the HMOTA meeting could end a little early. Wink, wink, Karen.
Do we have anything scheduled?
No.
What's that?
No, nothing scheduled right now. No speakers or anything.
Oh, okay. So that could possibly be a little shorter.
Yeah. You can never tell. You know what, though? I'm going to need to wrap this up.
Right.
Because I'm throwing a party and it started 10 minutes ago and people are showing up and I got to get out of this car.
Okay.
Yeah, I need to go too.
Okay, so Monday, March 5th, and we're just all going to do our own ideas about everything, the mission statement, the goals, the board goals, the membership goals.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think it would be bad to email each other with thoughts along the way. Just
Right.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Yeah.
yeah, that way.
And that might help feed along the conversation on that Monday.
Exactly.
So.
All right.
Yeah, because hopefully Monday we can kind of like maybe just decide like what
Correct.
we're doing so we can keep moving forward. Yeah.
Right.
All righty.
Okay,
Sounds
sounds
great.
good.
Thank you.
Have a great
Thanks, everyone.
Have a fun
Have a
party,
good
Karen.
weekend.
Take care. Thank you.
All right.
Will.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Have a great week.